Can hear to start. Welcome to Bon Jovi Discussions. Today I have my buddy from New Jersey, Kevin Wall. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well, man. It's good to be on with you. So I'm looking
Yeah,
forward to, you know, speaking about our favorite band together.
and we've been talking now for at least the last hour before we
I
even
know. We
started
should have
our
recorded
record.
that.
I know it was a great discussion, so this would have been part two. But before we get started with our topics, we'll be talking about the April tour, the upcoming April Bon Jovi tour, the future of the band, and then Richie's new music. But before we get into that, let's talk about how did you become a fan of Bon Jovi?
Oh boy. So when you're from New Jersey and you live in Monmouth County where everything began, pretty much, you're thrown into it. As you can see, I don't know if the audience can see, but you
Yeah.
see Springsteen and Bon Jovi together. That was a 12-12-12 concert. And it's kind of like a cult in a way. But of course, my dad was a big Bon Jovi fan, and my mom as well. Even though she was more of a Bruce fan, I kind of got thrown into it. And when I was 4, I remember hearing "It's My Life," and obviously it became the hit that it is today. And the first, it's funny. The first thing I said, "No silent prayer for the faith departed." When I was 4 years old, I would say "PP farted." That's like the joke of, it's and even 20 years later, we
Yeah,
still laugh about it.
every time I hear that song now, it's what I'm gonna think.
PP parted. So that's how I kind of got introduced to the band. And then I remember the live video when they're in Switzerland. And I remember my dad would play it every day for me while because my mom worked overnights, my dad worked in the evenings, and kindergarten in the morning. I just remember hearing Bon Jovi constantly, and that's how it began. And my first concert was at 5 years old. I went to go see the One Wild Night tour in Giant Sam. I was 5. And I remember bits and pieces. I don't remember the whole thing, but hearing "Raise Your Hands," my mom told me to just raise my hands, and that's kind of how it all began. And here we are. I'm a diehard. I'm
Yeah.
addicted to it.
I love the One Wild Night tour, especially with that was my first tour too, Hershey Park.
Okay.
And I was 8 at the time. And I thought it was so because
Only a
I
couple years old. We're only a couple years apart then, it seems like.
yeah, I'm 29 going on 60. But I was 8 and I remember we were on the floor, my dad and we were I remember the band taking the elevator and you saw the band backstage going to the elevator, then they do
Yeah.
like the cha 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 music. And I
Yep.
remember the elevator doors open, they were there on stage. I couldn't, because I was a fan of it for a year at this point. And I couldn't believe it. Right there they were. These guys that I listen to every day and just I hate to use the word worship, but worship. And I mean that was a great tour. And speaking of tours, let's get into our first topic.
Yeah.
Something we're so excited about, the April Bon Jovi 2022 tour. It's March 5th right now, and so the tour starts here in less than 30 days. Omaha, Nebraska's opening night. I'm doing Milwaukee, Raleigh, and Nashville.
Okay. Awesome.
What shows are you doing?
I'm gonna be doing Austin. So one of my buddies, from here, he now lives and works in Texas, and he was home during the holidays. So it's funny. I said, "Yeah, I'll meet you in April." So I booked my flight and all that. I'm like, man, it's late April. It's gonna be warmer out. Daylight savings, 80 degrees. Then a week later, the Bon Jovi tour is announced, and ironically and accidentally, I'm going to be in Austin, Texas on April 23rd when Bon Jovi's in town. I called him immediately. I'm like, Troy, we got to do this. And
Yeah.
he's like, absolutely. So we booked tickets, and, it was an accident that was meant to happen. So, as a Jersey guy, I will be seeing Bon Jovi in Texas next month, and I'm looking forward to it. There's a lot of teases that we've been getting the last couple days, and especially Phil X's recent interview that, be prepared that we're going to be shocking a lot of fans, and I can't wait to
Mhm.
hear or not hear, but see everyone's reaction
Yeah.
when I play a song that hasn't been played in maybe 20 years. And obviously Phil wasn't there at the time, so he's rehearsing, he's ready to go, and how can you not be excited about that? And we've had recent tours. The This House tour. I saw him 3 times in 18. And I saw him in 17. They played that album. For the most part,
Yeah.
and there was nothing wrong about it. But you want to hear the recent, or you want to hear hits, or you want to have that curveball. And now that we're getting teased about that,
Yeah.
I'm ready. I hope I'm stunned, and I'm looking forward to it.
There's two controversies right now. One is what's this tour supporting? So usually when a band tours, they're always supporting an album. In a way, I don't think they're really promoting 2020 here. Obviously, we're going to get some of the 2020 songs on this tour, but a lot of people are like, well, why are they touring? Well, I think it's just to get the wheels in motion. I think it's time just to kind of test the waters, especially with what's to come next year. But I think April's just all about getting the wheels in motion, getting back on stage, and just kind of seeing how things go. Um, and then the second thing is too is a lot of people are mad that they're not going here or there and blah blah blah. I think right now,
New York, yeah.
yeah, I think right now you kind of got to be careful on where you're torn right now. Why they're not going to New Jersey or to New York right now, who knows? I wish they were because I would have done those shows too,
Mhm.
but they're not. And I know John said in a Hampton Water interview he did about 2 weeks ago, the interview said, is there going to be more shows? And he said, no, right now, just these 15 dates, and then that's it for now. So I think just, I'm thankful for what we get. I'm one of those fans that just is thankful for what we get. I don't try to yearn for something that isn't
Yeah.
happening. But I'm truly excited for April. I think, like I said, April is just about getting the wheels going, getting the band back together.
It's kind
And
of like the Crossroad tour in '94. They did a
yeah,
month to promote it, and then they went on to do These Days, and that was a monster tour in Europe and Asia. And obviously 40 years is coming up next year, so it's
yep,
a big year for the band, whether they're in the studio recording a new album or not. It's a milestone.
yeah.
So I think that's what it is, just to get the wheels going. I agree with you 1,000%, and I think 2023, album or not, is going to be the year.
Yeah, I think, and we'll get to next year here in a second because that's our next topic. But I think, like next month's set lists are going to be kind of like 2000. I always said the Circle Tour and 2011 Tour, which are kind of pretty much the same thing, had the best set list because they were so different every night, different openers, different encores. And I think that's what we're getting next month. I think we're going to be getting different because they have such a huge catalog. And obviously, without getting into any details, we both know there's going to be deep cuts.
Mhm.
And Phil had mentioned it the other day in an interview that he did about the deep cut. So it's not really a secret anymore. So you look at the number of hits they have, and typically there's about at least 20 that they have to do. Especially here in America. And so that kind of gives some leeway for 8 deep tracks a night, so they can switch out different songs every night, different openers, different encores, and throw in some goodies.
Yeah, it's once I heard the interview the other day, it's just like let's just get on tour now. And of course, you want answers immediately, but it's a tease. It's kind of like watching Ozark. You see
Yeah,
crazy things happen, and then you gotta wait for part two to come out in the final season. It's
I
just like
know.
you want to know now, and you think of a lot of songs over the years. Like I think of some songs on the Circle album. I think Broken Promised Land, for example, or Happy Now. Great songs. I think of these days, Hey God, which is one of my favorite Bon Jovi songs, or Hard Letting You Go. I know you love Blame It on the Love of Rock and Roll and Keep the Faith. It's just like, what wild card are we going to be seeing?
Yeah,
And John obviously, of course, he had the first 2 albums before Slippery, and he doesn't really like touching them. But is he even going to go before Slippery and bring back Price of Love, for example, or Roulette? It's just like, wow, it's gonna be a special tour, and
yeah,
thankfully Phil, kind of gave us that little curveball to swing at, and I can't I can't wait for next month just because we're gonna be on our toes, every time. And the one thing I just hope, though, because I remember during the Circle tour, the band did change up the set list a little bit because we heard pre-Slippery songs. No,
Yeah.
Roulette, Get Ready, and it kind of like died out after a couple weeks. Again, that was an 18-month tour compared to 1 month that they're having now. So I hope they're consistent with changing up the set list because, as diehard fans like you and I, you expect This House or That's the Water or Blood on Blood. And it's just like, I'm ready for a couple curveballs, and it looks like that's what they're going to be doing.
Yeah. 2010, that first, I remember a couple months prior, I remember there was a Facebook post the band had posted, and this was before Twitter and Instagram were really a thing. And it was, Facebook. And actually, I think it was the end of 2009 because the tour started in February.
February
2010. Yeah. But so I remember they posted, okay, diehards, which songs would you love to see the band perform? So that kind of threw a ball at us and said, oh my God, are they going to play deep stuff? And I remember I was like, away all these deep tracks from all over the years. And then
social disease.
And John said in an interview that they were going to bring back some of the two new from the two first albums, Debut and 7800.
Yeah.
And like you said, all the Roulette, Get Ready, Only Lonely. What other ones did they play?
They played.
They do Love? No, I don't think they did. No.
Tokyo Road. They did.
Tokyo Road. That's the one I'm thinking of.
They did Tokyo Road.
But now here's the problem. Here in America, people are just about the hits. So every show, you get a popular. 90% of the arena are just general fans that don't know a lot of the deep stuff. Then there's the 10% of fans like you and I that are die-hard crazy fans who wouldn't care to see any of the hits and just want deep tracks. We're the ones that appreciate hearing stuff from the first two albums, especially because we know that John hates the first two albums, and we're lucky to be seeing them. Then you get the 90% of fans who are like, what's this? It's like when This House album was performed last tour. You could tell who the diehards were and who the general fans were, because I remember in Cleveland, for example, on This House tour, everyone was up and having fun with the hits and blah, blah, blah. And John did like 3 songs like New Year's Day, God Bless This Mess. But you could tell the people who were the diehards and the general public, because the diehards were singing along, thrilled, up out there. And you got the fans who were going to get something to drink or just sitting there. And, I remember even John had mentioned, okay, I played what I want. Now here's the hits. From here on out, nothing but the hits. And then they went on to Lay Your Hands on Me and blah, blah, blah. So the problem here with America is, and I get it, because I'm seeing like the Motley Crue and Def Leppard tour and other artists. With those artists, I want to see the hits. I don't really know the deep tracks of these bands. Now, as a diehard Bon Jovi fan, I obviously want the deep stuff. But so I get it where the 90% of the arena population want just the hits. And so I think that's why those kind of really died off pretty quick on that tour, But I think with next month, I think there's nothing to promote. There's really nothing to.
It's like the first tour, and
it's just something fun
that they're not promoting.
Yeah, it's just something fun. Hey, play whatever you want. It's kind of like that bar band attitude. Play whatever you want. Get the jukebox going, and I'm really thrilled to see what we get. Every tour, especially since the Circle Lost Highway tour, I always do social media updates from every night. And so I'm excited for the shows that I'm not going to, especially opening night. I wish I could make opening night, but I have to, I can get to work.
Omaha, right?
Omaha, yeah. But I mean, I can't wait to see what is going to happen. I can't wait to see everything,
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be great.
Man, I'll take your word on that. And hearing Phil X's tease a little bit, and obviously they're rehearsing the bands in town. Obviously, I don't live too far from where John's studio in Middletown is, and the Soul Kitchen. So I know they're here, and they're gonna give the fans the best show. And you got to remember, they hyped up 2020. I mean, Bryan Adams was gonna open up for the band.
I know.
And I wish we could still see that today, because I'm a big Bryan Adams fan. On top of that, Summer '69 I think is one of the best written songs ever, rock and roll wise. So just seeing that, you can parlay that. It was great, but it's time to get back on the road. It's time to entertain the people and entertain the fans. We've been living with this COVID stuff for 2 years, and thankfully you and I are healthy, and my family's healthy, your family's healthy, and the band is healthy. It's time to get on the road and entertain the people.
Yeah, you said it perfectly. We've been in this pandemic now for 2 years. We've done. I believe in the vaccination.
Same here. I got it. Same here.
And so, I think, we've done our part. And for those that are listening and didn't get vaccinated, I'm not against people who didn't get vaccinated. I believe in freedom of choice and,
of course, yeah,
and everything. Me personally, I want to be vaccinated to keep me safe, keep others safe. Let's not get into the political debate about
that. No, of course not. No.
But anyway, so yeah, you've got to continue on with the war. I think COVID's always going to be around. You just moving forward, you have to be safe about it. For example, this tour is a perfect example of this. Since the Circle tour, they've done backstage tours where you got to go backstage and you've gotten to see, behind the scenes stuff, go on stage, blah blah blah. They're not doing it on this tour. Now, if you remember back in 2020 when the tickets and stuff went on sale before the pandemic for the 2020 tour, they were selling it as an add-on. They're not doing it this obviously because of you got to keep people away from the crew and stuff and blah blah blah. So my point is, moving forward with these tours, all these bands have got to keep it safe for especially bands that do like meet and greets. For example, Kiss. Kiss does this plexiglass where they stand. But I think it's tacky, but at the same time,
really?
Yeah. So so their meet and greets that they did last year, I saw some fans that went and did it, and they're behind Kiss is behind a plexiglass. It's very clear. You can't really tell except for where the line divides in the middle. Yeah. But you usually stand in front of it, so you don't really see it, but you see it on top of your head.
Oh wow!
But and so they kind of look like they're like in a display store, and you're standing in front of a display store window.
But so you get your photo taken, and you get the sky and all that. That's interesting. I wonder how Gene feels about that, messing up his hair potentially.
No. Like it's literally just a wall. So I
thought. Okay.
They put it's on like a little board, and they put it in front of you. It's not a box. So potentially you could come around me and touch me. But obviously they have security there. But so it's a plexiglass, and you're in front of the plexiglass. And so there's a few pictures where Paul was like hands up against the it's tacky, but at the same time too, I get it, because especially when you're in a major tour like Bon Jovi is in, or Kiss or whoever, you got a lot of people working, you got a lot of moving people, and if one person gets sick, especially a band member, and that's another thing I want to talk about too. This and ticket sales, but the first one is how tight things are going to be next month. I know fans seek out the band and stuff. It's gonna, they gotta keep it safe next month, because if one of them get COVID, because I'm sure like any other band right now, everyone's getting COVID tests, everyone's getting the
Yeah, that's gonna be a thing. That's going to be a thing. They're going to be getting tested every day in the month of April. You know that's coming. And, God forbid, I believe it was John Mayer's drummer who just got COVID the other day. The show went on, but you were missing somebody. And, of course, Bon Jovi can put on the show. Yeah. But if I saw a show without Tico and they brought in the drummer from Kings of Suburbia to replace him, or same thing with David, or obviously you can't do the show without John. It's just man, times are different now. So yeah, it's all about just staying safe, and you just want to be entertained and keep your mind off things for a couple hours. And I don't blame the band for being more conservative when it comes to staying away from the fans. It's just you, 6 guys, and whatever crew in the background. At the end of the day, we're here to entertain the people and fans for the most part, and especially diehard fans. I'm flying out to Texas to go see see the boys, and I respect that. I don't need a VIP thing where shake their hand, hug them, and all that. I just want to be entertained.
And I'm good about the VIP. I want to talk about that too. So I've had a few people that want me to talk about ticket sales and VIP. So I figured this might be a perfect opportunity to do
Sure.
that. But we'll start off with ticket sales.
Okay.
Now, people will point their fingers at John and the band who now I can blame the band and stuff for what the prices are for the VIP packages. They're outrageously overpriced.
I can't touch that.
As far now, I don't want to be a critic here because I always do a VIP every tour. I have to. And so for Milwaukee, not to what's the word I'm looking for? Not to be standoffish, I have a front row center ticket for Milwaukee. So how can you pass that up?
You can't.
So every tour I do a VIP, and I remember doing VIPs for like back in Have a Nice Day tour and Lost Highway tour, and they were cheap, and you got to go on stage or you get this or that, but like get a good seat. It's ridiculous how expensive these VIP packages are nowadays. They're pretty much almost the same. Now, I'll say runaway trips are worth every penny. It's worth what you get the hotel, you get to meet John, you get this exclusive show and parties. It's worth every penny.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's a goal of mine to get there
When these VIP packages are almost worth the same as the runaway trip, and you're not getting that much out of it, there's a problem.
Yeah.
But like I said, I still do the VIPs. I enjoy them, but it seems like every tour now they display like a lot of John's outfits, which is pretty cool for like the first time fan who's done the VIP. But for fans who've done multiple VIPs every tour, like I have and others, you see the same things every time, and I think it needs to include, like, I know you get like to take the chair home and stuff, and it's cool because I think now you get to the package that I'm doing, you get an autographed chair to take home with you. And
is it signed just by John or the whole band?
See, that's what I'm wondering. My guess is this is going to be signed by John.
Okay.
But it'd be cool if it was signed by the whole band, especially if it's only the front row, and not every seat in the front row is a VIP package, because I see right now ticket only right now for some of the front row. So potentially every night the band could take 20 seconds and go to each chair and sign it, because you probably 50 chairs at most every night. So, and this is for people listening wondering if it's second to fifth row. No, only front row chairs get signed, and only front row gets a chair. So, but now the ticket prices, I don't think that's the band's fault. From what I have learned from like other bands and just knowing people and stuff, Ticketmaster, and I could be wrong about this, but from what I know that this happens with other bands, so I'm pretty sure this probably happens with Bon Jovi. They pay the bands up front to do a tour. They say, hey, we'll give you this amount of money to tour, blah, blah, blah. Then it's up to Ticketmaster to make up what they paid and then a profit. And so you go on Ticketmaster, and I think this is how they have to do it, these official platinum seats that are just outrageous. For example, I was actually just looking at one of the cities, and there were center row, ninth row. There were 4 tickets in a row. 2 of them were official platinum seats, and they were going for like $900.
Mm-hmm.
The 2 tickets beside them were standard ticket only, and they were 300 something. So almost a $500 difference, and it's literally the cheaper ticket, the more expensive ticket. I don't understand what the difference of the view would be. Exactly. Yeah. So how does Ticketmaster justify charging $800-900 for a ticket that's beside you is $300?
I think it's just more the brand. When you hear Ticketmaster and you hear StubHub, and we see front row seats, I think it's all about them just getting their payday. And if you go on BonJovi.com or any band.com to go perform, you're not going to get those Ticketmaster fees. Of course you're going to get some and taxes and all that, but I think it's just more Ticketmaster and StubHub just trying to make their buck at the end of the day, and that's why everything's so overhyped and overpriced, and you're
Yeah.
like, wait a minute, like what am I signing up for right now?
Yeah. Well,
So I think it's
StubHub's
more
a third party.
it's
StubHub's like a third party site, so they don't really count. But Ticketmaster, I think I absolutely cannot stand Ticketmaster, especially because of these official platinum tickets that don't offer anything. All it is just a more expensive ticket to say premium viewing. But like my perfect example of those 4 seats in one single row, two are official platinum, two are standard. There's no difference in view except from standing 2 inches to the left of the official platinum. You're getting the same view, same closeness. And it's not just Bon Jovi that they're doing that. They're doing it to every band. I mean, I was looking at other artists that are touring right now and seeing what tickets are, and it's like I think I saw Paul McCartney official platinum seat for
oh
Paul
that
McCartney second row is like $5,000,
oh, that's crazy.
and that's just a
And
ticket.
I
I'm
was
like,
preparing at my neck of the woods, and I looked at the prices because I mean to see a Beatle live in person, obviously John calls him Beatle Paul, so let's call him Beatle Paul. You know, and he's a Beatle, and then you look at the price, it's just like, oh my god, like
yeah.
it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, but I think that's how websites are these days.
But people will point their fingers at the band. The band, I don't think really have any kind of
No,
control over it
I
because
agree.
Ticketmaster will give a certain sum of money to these bands, and then it's up to Ticketmaster to sell the tickets, promote the blah blah blah, and so I don't blame the band at all over ticket prices. I really don't.
I'm with you.
I
Yeah.
blame Ticketmaster for that. Now, saying that, I wish the Bon Jovi management would kind of tune down the pricing on these VIP packages. It's unbelievable. I remember being like fourth row for Lost Highway tour for backstage of John Bon Jovi fan club pre-sale. It was like 6 months before, and getting like fourth row for Lost Highway for like 200 something.
Dude, I would be with you in Milwaukee in the front row if the prices were like that
I
15 years
know.
later.
But nowadays, like every tour I would do so many shows, but now you really have to be careful how many shows you can do because it's not just how much the ticket is. I mean, the tickets are expensive now. Excuse me. But then you also have to add in your airfare, your hotel, it's just there's a lot that goes into it. And so, that's why I'm only doing 3 this upcoming.
So you do Milwaukee,
I'm sitting here saying only 3. There's fans who aren't even doing any. So
and I did 3 in 2018. I saw him in 3 different states. Obviously I saw him in Newark as I teased, and then I saw him in Boston, which was a couple weeks before they got inducted. And then my final Saturday as a college student, I bailed on my friends. Same thing I did for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame as I told you, off the air. I drove to Mohegan Sun and saw him in Connecticut, and I was 5 rows behind the stage, and it was just me. I didn't want to be bothered by anyone. I didn't bring any friends. It was just me. Like, this is my gift to myself for graduating college. So yeah, 3's good. Three's good.
yeah,
You're going to, obviously you said Milwaukee, Nashville, and what's the other one?
Rally is still up in the air, but more than likely I'll be doing Rally as well. So those 3. But to kind of conclude, I want to go to our next topic now.
Yeah.
But I'll set aside with the VIP and I love the VIP. So I think it's worth at least doing it once a tour. It's expensive. It's still worth it. It's a lot of fun because you're with other friends. You make friends. They do giveaways and stuff. So it's still
how much is
yeah.
going to Disney or going to New York? It's kind of the same thing. Do what you love.
And then with me raffling on about the ticket prices, regardless, I'm still so excited to see our favorite band again next month. I'm just excited to see our favorite band take the stage again, have fun, and because we don't know how much longer we're going to have, which brings me to our next topic, the future. I know you wanted to talk about this, the future of the band and what's to come. So I'll let you kick off with it.
Okay, yeah. So obviously the band started in 1983. We're in 2022. John just hit the 6-0. So I mean, it starts making you wonder. And Tico's older. I think he's close to 70. I know he's like 67 or 68. Dave is the same age as John. It makes you wonder, like, all right, well, how much time is left? And we see Ellen John touring still right now. The Rolling Stones, Bruce eventually, Paul McCartney.
Yeah.
It's just like, all right, we've been here for their career and seen them. Now it's just more like how much time is really left. Now, and I know they're going to be doing something big, which I think this April 2022 tour is just to get the train going a little bit, and then whatever happens down the road, hey, they may even tease something in the fall. You never know. But I think
Yeah.
2023 will be the big year, and me personally, I don't know if you agree or disagree, but I'll say it. But I personally don't see Bon Jovi touring in 10 years.
No.
If they're all healthy and together, I don't see them doing anything
Yeah. Here,
at that time frame.
here's what I think, and give me a couple minutes here to really explain myself. And this is just my opinion, my spectacle of it, what I think is going to happen. You look at the last almost 40 years in interview, and John always loved to tour, blah, blah, blah. But in the last couple of tours, John doesn't like to tour. He just did an interview with, who was it? She came to the Soul Kitchen and stuff, blah, blah, blah. And she asked, what do you look forward to the most in a tour? And he goes, going home.
Yeah.
John is very work driven, and I think he'll always be doing stuff. But I think John's and I think the whole band could be too. Look at this house tour. This house was drawn out for 2-3 years.
Mm-hmm.
Where they were doing just a small leg here, going home, then doing another, which is fine. I'm all for it.
Honestly,
go at your own
kind of
pace.
makes you look forward to it. Like, okay, if they're going back on the road and maybe do a show here, a show there, yeah.
So, with that being said, I think with 40 years coming up, I think it's a great milestone to say, hey, let's do it in a big way to where, hey, let's celebrate So I think next year, obviously marks 40 years, and we're supposed to be getting a box set and a museum and all that, blah blah blah, which I'm really, 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 really excited for. I also think it's probably like the perfect opportunity to, they could either do this 40th anniversary tour, then the tour after that is a final tour, or they could say, okay, this is our 40th year anniversary. This is going to be our final world. Now, when I say final tour, I don't say that's the end of the band. I think that what they'll do is kind of like what Kiss is doing. Kiss is doing like 2-3 years to make sure they hit every single country and do their last show there. So what I think Bon Jovi is going to do is, I think that they're all healthy and they're all still good, but they're getting up in age, and there's got to be a point where you got to say, okay, we got to stop when we can. Yeah. So what I think is going to happen, I think 23, 24, and 25, I think are going to be a huge world tour, and they're going to try to go to every single place that they can, and finally say, this is it. This is our last tour, because you can see John's enthusiasm for touring isn't there anymore.
No, it's been gone because we can.
Yeah. In every interview now, he says he doesn't really care to tour anymore. He'd rather stay at home, which, hey, I'm all for. I respect that. I appreciate it. And I appreciate him still touring for us. So I understand if you want to, hit the brakes a little bit and not do it anymore. So what I think, like I said, I think the next 3-4 years, I think it's going to be like a major world tour. I think they're going to be hitting a lot of countries. And then after the final show, I don't think that's going to be the end of the band. I still think we'll get, maybe another album. I think we'll get, maybe a residency, because and he said this a year ago. He's always said he would never be open to doing a residency. But now it's actually common for bands to do residencies. Mm-hmm. And I keep going back to Kiss. Kiss is actually doing their last tour. They're going to be doing Vegas residencies after the tour. So I can see Bon Jovi maybe doing 5 nights at Madison Square Garden in this month. Yeah. Then
months later, the Circle Tour with London. They were in London. Yeah. They did 10 nights in month of
Yeah.
June.
Then they'll do London for a few nights, then Vegas, and then Florida. Just once in a while, a few nights where you get to go see them. Or maybe this could be another possibility. Maybe this is what they're testing out right now. Can they go out just for a month of the year and do a tour? Where they do 10, 15 shows and that's it. John's still, 60 is still technically young, but I think John's always going to want to keep doing stuff. And I still think there's plenty of years of Bon Jovi as a band. I think there's, like I said, we're still going to get new music. We're still going to get shows. We're still going to get stuff after the final
has
tour.
downgraded dramatically in the past, ever since Because We Can. And I think it's going to be shorter. This is kind of like a crossroad promotion tour, and they're just testing out the waters. I'm with you 1,000%. And I think that's what we're going to get. Like, I don't see a giant stadium happening anytime soon, or ever for that matter. I think everything's just smaller, and that's okay. That's okay. I'll see him in a parking lot if I have to. It's because I'm that diehard of a fan.
Yeah, and that's what I tell my wife right now. She's like, "You're nuts for going to like 3 shows next month." I'm like, "Are seeing them 56 times." I'm like, "You don't get it, because one day," and it's really heartbreaking to really say, one day we're not going to get that opportunity anymore.
No.
There's going to be a day where we're going to be like, I wish I did more shows, or I wish I did this or did that. So and you get all these people who complain about John's voice. John's voice is still incredible, so I won't get into that topic. But people that complain about this and complain about that, blah, 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 I'm like, you know what? Just appreciate for what you have.
That's what it
You're
is with
still
me.
able to see them. You're still able to appreciate them still being around, So.
No, I agree. And, people say, oh, well, his voice is shot or whatever. He's great now. And, people still bring up Richie. And it's just like, just appreciate the moment, because there's going to be a day where in our lifetime, it's not going to happen. And one thing I still regret to this day, I went to school in Massachusetts, at Springfield College. And this was 2016, and Springsteen was on tour. And I just saw him at MetLife a couple weeks prior, went back to New England. And the last second were, they were playing at Gillette Stadium. It was the final show of the River Tour. And I was going to go. I was going to bring my girlfriend at the time. And I never pulled the trigger. And that's something I still regret to this day, because, obviously that's the last time that Bruce has played in North America. And, I'm sure he will get dates. Obviously COVID doesn't help and all that. But it's been 6 years. And it was a 4-hour show, and it was one, when I've heard the concert, on YouTube and, on Bruce Radio and Sirius, like, man, I missed a great show. No regrets, just do it. Just do it, because it's not gonna last forever in our lifetime.
Exactly. And to be able to say, hey, we're still in that area where we're able to say, hey, I got to see Bon Jovi. Mm-hmm. So I guess I could go on, but like I think we're both reiterating here, be appreciative of what we have, and whatever it comes, if this is what the future of the band is after this massive world tour next year, if 1 month out of the year they tour, I'm okay with that. I'll make efforts to travel to see them wherever they're going, and that's it.
Europe or Asia to go see them?
What's that?
Would you ever go to like Europe or Asia to see them?
Okay. So my 2 dream places to see them at is, I've seen them all. I've seen them in different I've seen them in Spain and stuff, but I'd love to see them in Europe and Australia.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that would be cool. That would be cool.
I take that. I didn't see them. I'm thinking of a different band. I saw the only country I've seen Bon Jovi is Canada, but
okay.
I'd love to see them.
Ottawa or
Toronto.
Montreal. Toronto. Okay.
I want to do Montreal.
Yeah, we heard Phil tease it.
Yeah. I love Canada, and I almost went to the Montreal show last tour, and then they rescheduled the date, so I couldn't go. Mm-hmm. And it was the last tour, and obviously, with contracts and stuff, some of the equipment had to go. But the way that they opened it up differently with drawing the crowd and opening up with "I'll Sleep When I'm Dead" was so cool. But
Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
yeah,
I
so but
remember
yeah,
that.
I want to see them in Wembley and
Very cool.
Australia. So next year, I really more than likely I'm going to do Wembley if they do, which I assume they'll probably do.
I mean, let's be real. How many more times are they really going to play in Wembley?
Yeah,
With
and
I hate to be that guy, but it's reality.
that's the truth. And if I could go back to any show to see, it'd be London '95. Those 3 nights at
Mm.
London. You know, how about you? What show would you go back in to see?
Ugh. The thing was, I hate to make you feel old. I wasn't born when Wembley '95 happened yet. I'm a '96 baby. But to
I
be the one concert I would love to be at would probably be Lipson in 2011, the final
sure.
show for the Circle Tour, or Bon Jovi 2011, because they played all the great hits. It was a remarkable tour, and honestly, one of the final times that we saw the band together, and they were on the top of the world. Um, London Hyde would be great in 2013 when Phil joined the band. Uh, and of course, one I would love to be at was 2018 in Cleveland when they got inducted. So those are probably my three that, man, I wish I was at. But hey, I would love to get the opportunity. If the chance comes, I would love to see them in Wembley or Australia or Dublin or wherever. So the fact that it's still in America, but I'm traveling to Texas to go see them. It's a good stepping stone. you
Yeah.
know.
Let's go. We have a few minutes left here. Let's talk about the last topic that you want to talk about, which I think is great, is Richie's new music. So obviously, um,
What's happening?
trying to be. So Richie has been teasing a new album what since 2000. RSO came out in what 2017, I believe.
14.
For really that long?
Well, they met New Year's Eve of
Oh
13.
yeah, you're right. Yeah,
That's how they
yeah.
hooked up.
Time is
That's when he did like
flying.
Soundwave and all that, and
Yeah. Well, so anyway, so Rich has been teasing this new album. Uh, you know, most of the people that are watching this know Richie's not in the band anymore. But just so I have to clarify, Richie isn't in the band anymore. He's doing solo stuff, blah blah blah. But he's been teasing this solo album now, what, 3 years? And then I remember last summer, I think we got like 6 titles and 6 sneak peeks over the summer in Norman's Rare Guitars, which is in LA, where Richie and Norman, the owner of Norman's Rare Guitars, they're good friends. And so he gave Norman these 6 snippets to tease us. And so I remember like we were all excited that, oh, this must
it's
be
coming.
coming soon. And so you wonder, is it the pandemic that slowed the release of this? Or is it because he still had a couple years before the pandemic? And if anything with this pandemic, he could have finished the album, you know?
Yeah, he's home.
Yeah. So what is it makes me mad when artists do that. They say, oh, a new album's coming out soon, and you get excited for it, but then you can only be excited for something for so long before you get, you know what, this is old news. And it's, for example, I like the Backstreet Boys.
Okay.
Not as much as I used to, but I like them. They're my childhood bands, and I like their music. AJ McLean from the Backstreet Boys, he announced like in 2014 he's putting out a solo album soon.
Okay.
He is still teasing that solo album, and it's 7, 8 years old. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, Richie kind of is the same thing because let's go back
why I brought
7 years.
up.
Yeah, let's go back 7 years. It was 2014, 2015 when he and Ori started, hooking up and jamming together. And they said, oh, yeah, we're going to do an album. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. We waited 3 years. Yeah, they went on tour, but like there was no new work. And then,
Yeah.
what's it called? Radio Free America?
Yeah.
Yeah, their album. Great
I
album, in my opinion.
that's my favorite Richie. I always say this, and I love Richie, and I think his solo music is great, and I think it really showcases his talent and everything as a songwriter, guitar player, singer. Extremely talented. I think he gets better with every single album. I always thought Undiscovered, and I love every single album. I always thought Undiscovered Soul was better than Stranger. Aftermath was better than Undiscovered Soul. RSL's better than Stranger in This Town. And from what I can tell about these new songs,
It's songs that wrote my life sounds
yeah,
tremendous in those 45 seconds.
and that I want to just do an overview of these songs before we wrap up.
Sure.
Story songs that wrote my life. I always keep saying story of my life. I sing that Bon Jovi song, but I think the guitar solo sounds so good in that.
Yeah.
You know,
And you got to remember, Tommy Lee was on drums. We saw that preview 3
was
years
he on
ago.
drum? I didn't know that.
Yeah. So if
Okay.
you Google Tommy Lee, Richie Sambora,
Oh, that's okay. I remember that now.
you'll
Yeah.
see Richie dancing in the background. Tommy's on drums, and that was the song. And then
Yeah.
all that glitters. I think that gives you like a present 2000, rock pop vibe, and the
And
drum.
I love the way that he sings "Precious Heart" in that too, and that's
Yeah.
something Precious Heart. His vocals in that are so good. My personal favorite is Pain, and it's so to back up a little bit for people that are watching this and saying, well, where can I hear these songs if people haven't already? Go to YouTube, search Norman's Rare Guitars, Richie's new music, and there's 2-3 videos. I think there's 3 where Norman will introduce. There's 4. There's 2 songs in each video, I think. And so this one that's my favorite called Pain. Norman tells a story about this young man, Kyle, who had a rare facial cancer, and he came to Norman's Rare Guitars one day and told Norm, "Hey, I know you're good friends with Richie. Can you give him this?" I think it was like a cassette tape or something. He called Richie, and Richie was like, "Is Kyle still in the store?" And Norman said, "Yeah." So Richie said he'll be down in 10 minutes. So Richie drove from his house to Norman's Rare Guitars, met Kyle, gave Kyle his phone number, and I think he also invited him to like a midnight mission event at
Yes, I did see those.
Yeah. And unfortunately, both Kyle and his mom had passed away years later of cancer. So I don't think this song was. Norman says the song wasn't written about Kyle, but during that,
back of the mind, yeah.
But during that preview of the song, and it really hits your heart. They show pictures of Kyle while they played the snippet of Pain, and so every time I hear that song, I'm going to think of that. And the reason I want to tell that story too is because it shows you how big of a heart Richie has. How caring and loving of a person he is, especially towards fans. For him to do that and give his phone number and give personal tickets to an event to go, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
No, he does have a heart of gold, and say what you want, but it doesn't change the character at the end of the day. He's always giving back. Obviously, we know what he did for the Marine Corps in 2011 with the guitars and all that. So, it's a strong song. And then once you hear the story, it's just like, man, and the vocals, man, for Richie, they're still there. They're still there, and he's what, 62, 63? He sounds like he did 30 years ago.
Yeah. And just other, before we wrap up here, another few songs that they put out was "We'll Get By," which has a lot of, I don't know if that's the trumpet or saxophone, but either way, it sounds great. And then "Bag of Nails."
That's the one.
I love
it's
the
like
horns.
a little present day.
Yeah.
I don't want to say rock or pop. It's like a different genre. You hear the cymbals, you hear, it's different. And
It's like rock meets jazz and blues in a way.
And that's Richie. That's always been Richie. If you listen, he says he's a big blues guy and rock, and we've seen that in all 4 albums that he did. And I pray we hear something new soon. I'm tired of waiting. Got to be honest with you, because we snippets or these snips for a year, and let's hear the whole thing, man. Let's hear the whole thing.
Especially if you were giving snippets out to be played, that's like putting out a single, but then never following up with, you've got to put it out, and like that's what I'm saying. But like I'm really excited for Richie's album. I am, but eventually that excitement dies off. And of course, I say that now, but once Richie actually puts out the release date and I'm gonna be like, oh, I'm amped up, I can't wait. And
of course, yeah.
I'm hoping, kind of like, because he did a London show back in October,
of
last year, and I hope he gonna do more shows. Like
Love to see him in person, in New York or Pennsylvania. That's
do a few
one
big
guy the band
cities.
I haven't met, and I don't care. I'll go all out, VIP, whatever,
Yeah.
because that's a bucket list of mine to meet Richie, and I hope that opportunity comes. And I think the only way, the luck of the draw, I run into him in the store. The only chance I really have is going to his gig and paying that extra buck to do the VIP and meet him backstage.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I think that we hit the topics we wanted to talk about, and I wanted to thank you for coming on. And it
My
was,
pleasure.
we talked for an hour and a half before we even started to record, and I'm sure we'll talk out of end this recording here. But I know you wanted to come on and talk. I'm glad I had you come on and stuff.
It's funny because how I found you. I'm new to like the Bon Jovi social media world, and I met Tico at a restaurant in New Jersey a few months ago, and I wasn't appalled or anything. Like you found the photo and you shared it. I'm like, hey,
Yeah,
that's me, and that's
yeah,
how you and I started that conversation. And here we are. We developed a relationship, and two,
yeah,
3 months later, here we are. And it's fun.
yeah.
Definitely not going to be a stranger with you. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's like when you message me saying, "Hey, I know we're strangers, but blah blah blah." I'm like, we're not strangers. The greatest thing that I could say that has ever come from this band is the friendships that I have made
Uh-huh.
through this band. There are Bon Jovi fans that are my friends that I talk to every day. Whether it's in New York or Texas, New Jersey, or Australia, anywhere. Yeah, I talk to these people so much, even more than my regular friends. And you know what? We're such a unite group because you and I, we get it.
Yeah.
My wife doesn't get it.
Still in separate.
My
No.
friends don't get it. My colleagues don't get it. Joe Schmo don't get it. But you and I,
We
we
get
get it. We get why we love this band so much. And I think that's what connects us so well. That's what's so great about social media is that it connects people on a commonality. And Bon Jovi is that commonality for us. And so that's why it's so great to go on, Twitter or Instagram every day and just here, I do these. I don't know how much you see of my Twitter every day, but I like to post polls or like this or that, or I'll do like yes, I did. What album would you like to see the band do in its entirety? And it's so unique to see everyone have different opinions and stuff, and stuff like that. Like I was talking to somebody the other day about Keep the Faith album. I've been in such a huge keep the faith mood now for the last few days because of that, but it's so nice to hear different
My
opinions
phone.
about something that you love, and that's kind of like where this podcast came from. When the pandemic started, before that, going to shows, I meet with new fans or old friends, and if I met new fans, we became friends
Yeah.
because we're both, and we'd sit there and talk for hours upon hours. And the pandemic started, and I was like, you know what, this would be a great opportunity to start because I've always wanted to do a Bon Jovi podcast, and so it's great for just two fans to talk about what they love, and it's great.
No, I'm glad that he got that idea, and it seems like you started during the pandemic. Obviously, we had a lot of time to kill, and the relationships that you've made, just by doing that, and fans reaching out to you. I know, like you said, New York, Florida, England, Australia.
Yeah,
The fan base is still there. And it's funny that you said if you don't get it, you will never get it. I've been that crazy fan, since I was 5, and people say, "Why do you love Bon Jovi so much? Is it?" You're so young, you're in your 20s in college. Forget it. If I hear Living on a Prayer, on karaoke, I'm going for it. One of my best friend's weddings last year. Um, yeah, they got married and Living on a Prayer came on, and they said, Kevin, it's your song. And I just said, I'll take the mic. And I had so much fun with it.
yeah,
I accepted the fact that I'm the crazy Bon Jovi fan. And if people judge me or be like, you're insane, you're obsessed,
yeah.
comment, I don't care. Happy,
Never be
yeah,
ashamed. Never be ashamed of what you love. I live by that. For like my colleague, he knocks me for being such a huge Bon Jovi fan, and obviously I have memorabilia and I go to a lot of shows and blah blah blah. And so he's a Browns fan,
Oh,
and he has a Browns collection, and he goes to games and stuff. I'm like, how many games have you been to? I've been to this many.
mhm.
How much Browns memorabilia do you have? Oh, I have this, I have that. Okay. What's the difference?
Yeah,
One plays music, one plays football. Still
it's
the
the
same
same
thing, you
It's the
know?
same thing. You know what? As a sports guy, and I'm addicted to the Giants. So coming from New Jersey, so Giants, Yankees, and Bon Jovi. People say you're obsessed. You go to like 3 football games a year, like 10 baseball games. I'm like, that's me though. If you want to go see, it's a hobby in a way, and you
Yeah.
meet a lot of people, and
Mhm.
it's nothing different compared to anyone else's hobbies.
Yeah,
And call me the crazy fan, but I am who I am, and you are who you are, and it
exactly.
doesn't make a difference.
I was just telling the missus last night, we were out doing our,
So I hate to cut you off, but obviously she realized how big you're into, the Bon Jovi machine and music.
yeah,
Did it like creep her out at first? Obviously all worked out, but you got
yeah,
married.
yeah, yeah.
That.
So this has happened with other girlfriends too. And I don't think I put the gay vibe off. Maybe I do. Who knows? Uh,
I-
but I'm not gay. I'm not bi or anything like that. And don't have any tendencies either, as far as I know. But in saying that, I 100% support gay rights.
of
But
course.
so but,
Same.
but so anyway, to go back to my story, my now wife came when she first came to my house. She walked into this is my office, and but in my house that I was renting, now I own my house, but I was renting a house when we first met 6 years ago. And she comes into my collection room and goes, "Wow!" Like, because she knew that I liked Bon Jovi and was a big fan. But she goes, "I didn't realize you were this big." And she like saw all my autographs and pictures with them and blah blah blah. She goes, "How many shows have you been to?" And at that time, it was like 40 something. Now it's like 56.
Mhm.
And she's like, "Are you sure you don't have a crush on John Bon Jovi?" I'm like, 100% sure, 100% sure.
Yes.
And as far as I know, and but no, no, I think she was just joking. But
I've been
the,
there too, man. I get
yeah,
it.
the real part is that she understood what I was so passionate about. And what's so great about her is that she comes with me. She did some This House dates with me. She went to see David Bryan's musical with me. She's gone to runaway trips with me now. And so it's something that is so special that we share. Like when we did the runaway trip to getting a photo with John or getting a photo with David, being able to kind of have someone that supports me. Now, obviously, she's not a diehard fan. She
She likes
doesn't.
him though.
Yeah, she only listens to them because I play them. If it wasn't for me,
No choice.
she, if anything, I have like over 2,000 Bon Jovi songs on my phone. She's got two on hers. So
Oh, but she knows what, scars on this guitar is just because, 2,000 songs,
yeah,
they're eventually going to be played.
yeah, but she supports it and stuff, and she has fun. I was just telling her last night when we were walking. I said, it's not just because we were talking about doing 3 shows next month. She's like, why don't we just do the one? And then I was kind of like, it's more than just seeing a show. It's also seeing my Bon Jovi friends,
Yeah.
friends, and just being able to hang out with people. Like I know friends that are going to Milwaukee, friends that are going to Nashville, friends that are going to Raleigh, and so it's
Yeah.
nice to be able to see them for a few days and do stuff. Like for Nashville, we're all going to the Nashville Country Hall of Fame, and I could go on, but yeah, she gets it.
That's awesome, man. You know
Yes.
what? If you got someone who you love the most and she supports that,
Yeah,
you're in good hands along the way.
yeah.
You're
Now,
always
how
gonna.
about you? Do you have a special someone? Do you have a honey?
I'm single. I'm
Lucky
single.
man. Lucky
But
man.
I'm 25. My life is crazy, but if anything happens, down the road, they got to live with it whether they like it or not. I've had a couple people that said, I hate Bon Jovi, and hence why we're broken up now. But
Yeah.
it's just who I am, But that special someone will come.
Yeah. I had a girlfriend that broke up with me because I ditched her for Bon Jovi. I'm serious. It was probably, I think it was the Because We Can tour, and she wanted me to go to her friend's party or something, and I already had my ticket. I was going to go regardless, but
All
I
right,
said, I already have my Bon Jovi tickets. I'm flying out the morning of the blood. She goes, well, can you just, you've seen them so many times, can you just go to this? And she's like, I'm so sick of your Bon Jovi thing, blah blah blah. And she's like, if you go see Bon Jovi, we're done. I went to go see Bon Jovi, and she broke up with me, but hey, don't care.
Don't care. No regrets. And you found the love of your life. And,
Yeah,
my day will come. I'm not worried.
my wife 100% supports it. She doesn't get it. She supports it though.
Who's her favorite musician?
She likes Ed Sheeran.
Oh, okay. So it's a whole different
ball game.
Yeah.
And so she wants me to go take her to see Ed Sheeran whenever he tours. So.
Are you going to be going to Nashville and Raleigh and Milwaukee if they're on tour? Is it that?
What's that?
Does she want to go to Milwaukee or Raleigh or Nashville?
She doesn't see the point of seeing the same band twice.
Okay.
With Bon Jovi, she's not going to have a choice. But no, she wants me to take her to go see a show, so I will.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm sure it'll be a great time.
Yeah.
So.
All right, buddy. Let me end the recording here. We'll talk for a little bit, and then. All right. Thanks again for coming on, buddy.
Thanks, Jer. Appreciate it.